Hey folks, this week's episode is going to be on algorithms, and Ash and I had hoped to cover most of it in one episode, but as it turns out, we talked for more than 2 hours. So we're actually going to cut this episode into two parts. The first part is going to focus on the 5 W's. This exercise is going to be really important before we move into how to grow your social media algorithm presence. So I hope you check out both episodes and follow along with this exercise if you want. We'll see you next week. Welcome back to another episode of For Fake's Sake. I'm Az.
And I'm Ash.
How are you, Ash?
I am doing very well today and this week. I think I might have a stomach ulcer, but I'm very happy about it. How have you been?
You're happy about the stomach ulcer?
It's like self-induced stress over good things that are happening. I don't know if that's unique to me or if anyone else gets like good anxiety sometimes too.
I get it. Wow. Well, don't take ibuprofen on an empty stomach. That's all I know about stomach ulcers.
Oh, that's been my breakfast for like the last 15 years. That explains a lot.
Don't. No, Ash, that's not even funny. I'm doing great. I'm teaching an InDesign class later today.
How very exciting.
And you know how much I love InDesign.
Yeah, I do. I've been watching you update us about it on your social media, and I'm very excited for you, and I wish you well.
Thank you. It's going to be in Spanish, so we'll see how my Spanish goes trying to teach something pretty technical. The answer is probably very poorly, but, I'll have some help. I won't be alone, so that's nice.
Do you have, like, another person there that's going to help you with translating the course?
Yes, yeah. I have it translated.
Oh, that's
cool. I'm working on, a thorough guide to InDesign, and it's going to be kind of like a PowerPoint in the sense that, like, it's going to guide me while I'm explaining what I need to explain. But it's all written in Spanish. Poorly translated, I might add, but at the very least, it's got the words I need. That's a good start.
Good foundation.
Yeah. Hey, Ash, let me ask you something. Are you on social media?
Am I ever? I am on so much social media that it makes my head spin.
Okay. What's the one you use the most?
Probably Facebook, which is very bizarre, but it's served me well.
I don't use Facebook anymore. I've heard that it's cringe now.
It's always been cringe. I'm here to embrace the cringe and learn how to live with it.
How do you use Facebook? Is it to talk to friends and family, or is it to promote yourself and your work?
It's both. I get the most feedback on my work on Facebook because I think there's that interpersonal like relationship and trust that we've built. So like I'll post my work there and I'll get feedback that helps me make my next work. But obviously everything that I make is also going on Instagram and some of it's going on TikTok. Like I find other platforms, but it's mostly Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, so you'd say Instagram is your number 2?
Yes. I think it has to be at least top 3 when you're an artist.
What else do you use? So you use Facebook, Instagram, you use Reddit.
I do use Reddit, but that's not for self-promotion. I mean, I use it for self-promotion, but like it's mostly to doom scroll and look at children falling over.
Do you use Snapchat or Twitter?
No, I this is gonna sound like really jaded, like I'm a boomer. I don't like Snapchat. I've never liked Snapchat, and Twitter I just couldn't get into.
Snapchat had like a resurgence, didn't it? Like it was really popular when it started, and then it went away, and now it's back.
I don't know what that's about, but yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah. All right, well, the reason I'm asking all these, like, boring, dry questions about do you use this, do you use that, is, because today's topic, as you know, Ash, is algorithms.
Ooh, how very spicy.
Yeah. What do you know about algorithms?
Nothing concrete. I have, like, this very vague understanding of how they work, and, like, I see how they affect my social media usage, but, like, I've never researched it.
That's okay. I would like to hear what your understanding of it is without research, because I feel like it might be similar to how a lot of people's understanding of algorithms is.
Well, I guess it varies from platform to platform, but ultimately The algorithm tracks what videos you watch, and there are certain meta tags that go along with it that will be matched to other videos. And through a series of trial and error, if you watch this video for however long, or you look at this piece of content, scroll through this profile for however long, you're going to see more content related to that account or that account specifically. And from there, you build an algorithm based, on your tastes.
I think that's a pretty cursory, but like accurate understanding of algorithms, at least from a consumer perspective. But did you know that algorithms are actually just math?
I guess it's in the name, isn't it? But yeah. I always knew that it was just math.
Yeah, and I think that kind of gets lost sometimes when we talk about algorithms, because we think like, well, it's because I like this or because I talked about this and my Instagram can hear me or whatever. But it really is it's just math. And that's what data is. That's what our apps are. It's just a bunch of ones and zeros and how those ones and zeros add up to create content that you want to see. Well, algorithms became a big deal when we started realizing that echo chamber effect, right? Like, especially when you talk about politics on Facebook or on YouTube, how you would watch or respond to certain things and then you would get fed similar content until you thought that that's how everybody thought.
Yeah, and that's what landed Facebook in such hot water.
Mm-hmm. Is that Cambridge Analytica? Was that it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, that sounds right.
What would you say if I told you that algorithms are actually how apps make money?
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, even the political side, the agenda there isn't to, like, make you vote a certain way. It's to get your money. And they get your money through promoting people that think like you, politicians that think like you. And there are these entire financial conglomerates that are built to just make you continue to look at them and listen to them so that they can sell you something.
That's correct. I mean, Facebook was designed initially with certain like neurological factors in mind, such as like the fact that you get notifications and the fact that notifications are a little red circle. That is, in a sense, activating a pleasure part of your brain that you become addicted to. Like, they've talked about this a lot, and especially when like social media became ever present in our lives in the early 2010s, it became obvious that it was like an addiction cycle. And then algorithms come into play to keep feeding that addiction cycle. But the reason I say that algorithms are how apps make money is because I did not see this before. So I did do some research. I listened to a lecture from UC Irvine on social media algorithms, and I read a few articles. I'm not that like informed on it, but I feel like I was surprised by how much I was able to learn in just a little bit of research, because it actually is, you're designed to not see the algorithm. As a user of social media platforms, these algorithms are designed to make you not understand them. So someone who has a lot of followers on social media may not actually understand algorithms. I think you certainly have a bigger following than I do, and it's not that you have like a huge following, but you have a presence on social media, right?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Would you say you understand algorithms?
It's weird. I understand them from a consumer side, but not at all from a producer side. Otherwise, I think I would have a larger following. Like, I understand video editing, and I understand compositions, and I understand timing, and I understand like there are points in the day that are better to post than others. I understand you have to interact with the app to increase your presence in order for the algorithm to favor you. Like, I know there are all these little things, tips and tricks that boost your numbers, but I don't really ever access them, and I don't think I ever can access them because it's a lot more nuanced and random than I think it is.
What if I were to tell you it's not? I think it actually is. I hope that by the end of this episode, you and anyone else listening would have a pretty decent understanding of algorithms, because I think it actually is kind of simple.
We should make a challenge out of this.
Yeah? What's the
like
challenge?
after this video posts, both of us use the tips and tricks that you will outline, and we'll set a goal for gaining 50 followers within the next 2 weeks.
15, 1-5?
50, 50.
Okay, well, we'll see about that. I'm not I'm not that popular. All right, well, sure. Okay. You're on.
All right. It's not a friendly competition. It's a challenge for both of us. I want to see if we understand the algorithm and if we can use it to our advantage.
Yeah, good deal. No money on the table because I'm not a gambler.
Me neither. The one time that I've been to Las Vegas in my life, I didn't gamble once, and I'm proud of that fact. I feel like that's bragging rights.
Good for you. Yeah. The only times I have gambled, I have lost. So I'm not a gambler.
I guess the algorithm didn't favor you there, huh?
No. That's a totally different algorithm that I do not understand. But I think there's a really simple way of putting this. So you're kind of, I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head. You're saying like algorithms are all about engagement, and that is true. Nowadays, it's not so much about how many followers you have or how many likes you get. It's about how engaged your audience is.
Yeah.
So I heard this phrase, and I wanna share it because I think this is the best way to describe algorithms. They are designed to make you get seen less so that you pay more for exposure. So you pay more for ads. I mean, that's really it. Like, that's how they make a lot of money, is advertisement. Boosted posts, as they say. They don't call it ads anymore. They call it boosting yourself.
I feel silly for ever having used that on Instagram. Like, it works. You get seen, but like, I don't like the idea of paying my way to success.
Well, I mean, it's not a bad thing necessarily. I think, advertisement is real. And it works a lot of the time. There's a reason why so many people have such large advertisement budgets. I've heard that, like, with freelance artists, or like small businesses, you want to reserve 15% of your income for advertisement. Like, that's a lot of money. 15% that's half of what you're supposed to pay for taxes. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of money. But that's kind of why the algorithm is in place. It's so that it actually does suppress you, so that you feel inclined to pay for more exposure. And that, I mean, it works. I'm not going to say it's like a shitty thing or a positive thing. Like, you have to keep in mind, all of these social media platforms, they are still businesses. They still have to make money. And, Facebook did make money by selling your private data, and a lot of other companies do as well, but it mostly comes from ads. I think TikTok is really interesting in the sense that their ads are a lot more subtle than other social media platforms. Now, and I'm not speaking for Snapchat, because I do not understand Snapchat as a method of socializing beyond people you know. Like, I don't think that counts in what we're talking about here, because we're talking about exposure. We're talking about promotion. I'm not sure Snapchat applies.
I mean, there's a conversation to be had there, because, if you have a fan base, people are more willing to engage with you if you make time specifically for that individual. So there's something to be said, but, maybe we don't understand it because it's not the model we want to base our professional life on, but it does work. I see it work for other content creators.
Oh, I honestly didn't know that. That's really cool. That's interesting. But as far as how it applies to this conversation, though, what we're talking about is the algorithm that, if you're posting every day, if you're sharing information, if you're using your social media platforms as a way to promote yourself and your work, there is math behind each post's behavior and how that sort of leads up to where it's going. So if you spend 15 minutes editing a certain thing and you're like, this is perfect, this is excellent, this is going to get everyone's attention. It doesn't matter because if you don't have a lot of followers, or if you have a lot of followers but nobody likes your posts, nobody's going to see that post ever. And that's why, people encourage on YouTube, like and subscribe. On Instagram, save the post, share the post. On TikTok, copy link, like and follow, all those things. The likes and the follows, they do add up, but what's more important is the sharing aspect.
So what comes to mind is not necessarily putting all of your eggs in one basket. Like, don't focus all of your energy on getting seen, or don't focus all of your energy on engagement. Try to balance both, in which case seeding money towards becoming more visible isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it leads to getting those cursory individuals to see your account, in which you can keep them engaged by interacting with them and producing more content.
Yes, that is correct. So, I don't want to say paying for exposure is a bad thing, because, that's what the algorithm is designed to make you do. It's part of the system. And if you want to be a part of that system, sometimes you have to play the game. So engagement it's a crucial part. That's why they say, ask questions when you're posting, or encourage behaviors of certain kinds, or answer people who comment or DM you almost immediately, because that will continue with the engagement. All that engagement stuff is super important, and it leads to my next point, which is the sharing aspect. And the sharing aspect is really important because, again, the whole point of the algorithm is designed to make money. So it keeps you suppressed. But if you manage to get people to have certain behaviors that bring them back to the social media platform, that is going to increase your sort of algorithmic score, so to speak. So if you create something informative, if you make a TikTok about how to braid your hair a certain way, and people are like, oh wow, this is so cool, I'm gonna save this and look at it again later when I want to braid my hair, that's going to score you massive points, more than a like, more than a comment. It's the saving that sort of implies I'm going to come back to this post, which means I'm going to come back to this platform. I am going to come back and see more ads. I'm going to come back and have more behaviors on this app that is going to make the developers money. So that that sharing and saving aspect is hugely important, and it's why it's encouraged from a creative's or a creator standpoint to give as much as you take. So if you are on social media and you're trying to create content for other people, it's encouraged to like and share and bookmark other people's posts as well. Because if you want people to do that for you, maybe you should do it for them too. And I think that is missed for a lot of people, because people don't want to learn how to use social media. It's designed to look intuitive, like there's not a lot of thought into it, because you don't want to put a lot of thought into it. But once you get past that, there is a lot of thought into it, and there is a lot of work into it, and you got to put it in. You got to give it. You got to take it.
Can I relate it to the creative mindset real quick?
Yeah.
I find that very interesting. You're right that a lot of people that use social media don't know how to use it. They want it to remain simple because it's supposed to be a way to disengage with reality. It's kind of like you want them to be on it as mindlessly and for as long as possible, because that brings in the most AdSense and that brings in the most money for whatever, platform you're using. And I'm not saying if you are addicted to social media, you're not a bad person. I never want to imply that, because I too am addicted to social media. As a producer, I struggle with balancing how much I'm taking in versus how much I'm putting out. Because while I really believe in inspiration and supporting other content creators, the platforms are specifically designed to keep me on it for as long as possible. And that takes me away from my present moment and my ability to make content for others and content for myself. There's balance there. There's nuance.
Absolutely.
So the whole point of it being like the potato chips of media consumption is you need to like step away from that. Like you need to step away from the consumer model, which is what it's designed for. It's very difficult to step away from that. But you need to step away from the consumer model and look at it like a new medium. Look at it like you're taking on oil painting for the first time, or look at it like you're trying to get into videography. There's a lot of it that's going to be very foreign and unintuitive to you because you don't really understand it yet. But if you learn it to the best of your ability and use it and continue to problem solve within the platform itself, you can go far. And that's the case with any discipline. That's the case with any task. It's just a matter of, can you remove yourself from the platform's purpose, which is to make you a consumer, and use it instead to become a producer.
Part of it too is knowing that social media is not a solution, it is a tool.
Exactly.
Those are not my words. I stole it from the lecture, so don't at me, whoever the guy that gave that lecture was. But it's not a solution. It's not going to solve all your problems. It is a tool, and with every tool, you need to learn how to use it. I mean, if I gave you a wrench and said hammer this nail, it's not going to work.
Yep.
I mean, it might actually, but hammering is a pretty easy action. But that's actually a perfect analogy for social media. It might work, but if you don't know what you're doing, it might not turn out as well as you would hope.
But also embracing that, like learning anything, you're going to mess up a lot. And I don't know if we talked about this in a previous episode, but I like people that encourage leaving up content that isn't fully finished, leaving up content that hasn't performed well. Just like let people see every part of your process. And I feel like that's another step in it.
Yeah, we have talked about this, and that is, it's interesting because all the advice I saw online disencouraged that. All the advice online was like, no, you want to make it look curated, you want to make it look polished. And I mean, that's one way of doing it, I guess. If you are like a high-end jewelry boutique store, yeah, maybe you don't want to leave unfinished or incomplete work on your page. But if you're someone like us who has this long, arduous process of creating, and that process is really beautiful to us. I mean, I love sharing process drawings because I feel like they're this very natural part of me and this very natural part of my art, and that sort of fluidity and the artist's hand is, as they put it, as they say in art school.
I'm one of those people that when I see an artist with phenomenal portfolio work, I want to look through their sketchbook because that's when their brilliance really shines. Because if you can get to a beautiful, fully rendered piece, after however many hours you put into it, that's based on like the structure of your creative intuition. And you see that so beautifully articulated in sketchbook pieces.
Yeah, and that's why I think we as cartoonists, we encourage zines and sketchbook zines because, we have so much work that takes so long, and it's impossible to keep up with this concept of constantly producing when half of what we produce is it's background work, it's structural work, and we love to see it, and I think it's important to share it. But it's also just the kind of content we have to put out sometimes.
And sort of as a glimpse into freelance lifestyle, people think that like everything happens like sequentially. Like it's like I started the drawing, I spent 2 days working on the drawing, and then the drawing was finished and I turned it in. It's like, no, you have like hours and hours where you're redrawing references and models and looking at, background references on Pinterest, and you're engaging with other people's work online to understand styles that you want to implement. Like there's so much of this unseen labor that isn't profitable and isn't shareable that goes into making one beautiful piece. And that's difficult.
Yeah, the truth is that stuff is not unshareable. So this is, I think, where we're starting to get into this territory of how to use the algorithm in your advantage. And this isn't gonna look the same for everybody. I mean, everybody has a different style, everybody has a different artistic approach to certain things. So, no one way of approaching social media is going to work for everyone. Like I said, if you're a high end boutique jewelry store or jewelry maker, that social media page is not going to look like mine. And it is not going to have the same audience, and it is not going to have the same impact. So what we want to do is figure out what our own algorithm looks like. So maybe we can do this exercise together. Ash, who's your audience? Tell me what you think your audience is.
I think my audience is mostly male, people within my age range, upwards to like 35 maybe, and most of them live in Minnesota or New York. That's my guess.
And what do they do?
I imagine they're probably mostly artists.
Okay.
So my top cities are Minneapolis and Los Angeles.
Cool.
And my top countries are the US, United Kingdom, Canada, and Brazil. Ooh, Brazil. Way to show up. Top age range is 18 to 24. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's mostly men that follow me.
All right. Well, let me pull up mine. I think we're going to have a pretty similar background here. So, by the way, if you don't know how to do this, look up how to find your analytics, your insights on Instagram.
To do it, you're going to have a business account.
Yes.
And it's free to set up. I think there might be like a small follower barrier, but as soon as you reach those followers, you can set up a business account, and then like it'll give you all these insights and business tools for your account.
By the way, you want to know the disadvantage of having a business account?
Yes, please.
Well, guess who needs ad space more? Businesses. So who do you think gets suppressed more? Businesses, yeah.
Oh, that's messed up. That's probably why the follower barrier is so small.
Yeah.
Interesting. I appreciate knowing that.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Accounts reached. Okay, so my top audiences are Minneapolis and San Diego, duh. And then New York and Los Angeles. My top countries are US and Mexico, duh. And then the UK and France. Well, thanks, guys. Top age range is 25 to 34, followed by 18 to 24. And my follower base is 57% men.
Wow, hang on. Let me look up mine. I think we might have the same percentage. Yeah. Wait, funny. Did you say 57?
Yeah.
Mine's 65.7%.
Oh, wow. You certainly have the male gaze, don't ya?
I'm actually, I'm not disappointed. Like, thank you to everyone who's interested in my work. Like, I need to get that out of the way. I appreciate it. Please continue to support me. It means the world. I feel kind of bad as a representative of women in caricature that only 34.2% of my followers are women.
That's totally fair. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to find, first of all, what you want your audience to be, and second of all, how to hit that audience. I guarantee you, unless you're doing skincare or health and wellness or makeup, it's hard to hit that like specifically female audience, because that's what and you know, when we're talking about genders, obviously take this all with a grain of salt. Gender is fluid, so are these statistics, and so are all of these assumptions. But keep in mind that these algorithms are based on these gender role assumptions. Like, all of this is designed with all those like traditional roles in mind, because that's what a lot of people default to. So take it all with a grain of salt, please.
Right. There's a much larger beast that's operating all of this that none of us can define or really articulate. But like when we're talking about specifically the algorithm, it's to the understanding that we have, which, mind you, we're not mathematicians. We're not social media, promoters. Like we're just freelancers. We're independent creators, and we're doing our best to understand it because it's what we need to use to promote ourselves.
Correct. We are part of this disgusting beast, and we have to engage in behaviors that the disgusting beast would.
I know it's kind of gimmicky, but like there's truth to fighting it from within. Like, if you can master the algorithm to the point that you have a substantial following, I implore you to use it for good work, for a good cause. Like, just put good energy out there and keep people informed. We need more people like that in the world.
Yeah. That's why I'm a big fan of Jacksepticeye. Shout out. Okay, so let's keep going with our exercise. So who is your audience? Your audience is mid to late 20s, mostly male, 1/3 female, US based artists.
For the most part, yeah.
For the most part. So why should they follow you?
This isn't a good enough reason, I found, but I think that I'm a damn good artist. I think I put quality work out there constantly. I shouldn't say constantly, excuse me. Pretty regularly. I do put some mediocre work out there because I want people to see that not everything is fully finished, and oftentimes I'm just like throwing shit in my sketchbook because I like the way paint splatters. But I think that I am capable of making really good artwork that I feel like people would enjoy if they do stumble across it.
Awesome. Why should you follow Ash? She's damn good at what she does, and I can attest to that. Thank you very much. I'm a big fan of Ash Stryker over here.
Aw, shucks.
Okay, so we did the who, we did the why. What do you do?
I hope you're going to answer all of this. I'm pretty I'm pretty low effort when it comes to social media. I think I put more effort in than maybe the mass majority of people do, but like the people that exceed and do very well on this platform, which I'd say is probably like the top 5 to 2% of people, I'm not putting in nearly as, because for them it's a full-time job. They live and breathe the algorithm. They have to think about how to curate each of their posts because it's their income now. Social media is not my income. It's a means to get my work out there and like have a designated place to see it if you like somehow network with me one way or another. So I put posts on there. I update my website. I do like little good habitual things from time to time, maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. And then I just kind of like let it be. And I interact with people that engage with my posts, and that's how I do it.
Fabulous. That is a good answer, but unfortunately I asked the question incorrectly.
Okay.
What do you produce as an artist? What do you do on social media? Like, what do you post? That's the what, the content.
I try to approach it holistically. Like, I'll post a lot of finished paintings, my digital paintings. I'll spend a few hours working on those and post those, and those will always perform well. And to buffer that, when I'm not in the mood to paint, I will post sketchbook pages, or I will post stories about, you know, things going on in my life relating to my work. Or, and this is something that I'm surprised to say is quite popular, but on Facebook especially, I'll just like write posts where I open up about my life, or I'll share some of my poetry or my writing, and those perform well too, because I think people are really endeared to vulnerability. They like seeing that other people are willing to open up and expose themselves, so they feel like they can too.
We'll come back to that. That is a really good point, and we will come back to that when we finish this exercise. And
okay,
I'm happy to answer these after you. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
What do you want your audience to do?
It's weird. I don't necessarily want to sell them anything. I just want them to see my work.
Okay.
Like, I just want people to see me and acknowledge that, like, yes, this is good work, but I'm not necessarily saying, like, I want to, like, sell it. It's just, hey, I make this. Like, you know, like a fine artist. Like, I want to have gallery shows. I just want people to pay to look at my work for a little bit and be like, all right, you did a good job, and pat me on the back.
Okay, so the next question would be, where should they go? If you even have, do you have this question? Do you think you have an answer to this? Where should your audience go?
Instagram, my website.
Your website? Okay, that's totally fair. You have I'm assuming you have your website linked on your Instagram somewhere, and if people like your work, they can reach out to you via your website. When do you want people to do anything with your work?
Wow, I didn't realize that this would keep going on. This is a lot to think about.
Yeah, this is a big exercise, and it's just the 5 W's, but it is something a lot of people don't put a lot of thought into.
You are awakening something in me. I never realized that I could think about it this way. I don't really consider whenever they log on to the platform, whenever they
Good deal.
But
okay.
You're right though. You're right though, because
When
the
is
algorithm
convenient for
favors
them.
certain times. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for answering those. I'm happy to answer them myself. So, who is my audience? I would say it's pretty similar to yours, except I don't post a lot of the same stuff you do. You post a lot of caricatures and paintings of celebrities or just like different people. I post mostly personal work based on a story that exists only in my head. So my audience would be, my audience, what I want it to be, is people who like the same kind of stories that I'm telling, and people who like comics. But I've always described my style as like Hanna-Barbera, but with a drinking problem. Yeah, that's my audience. That's what I'm looking for.
That's excellent.
So that's who my audience is. Is it the same, or it's who I want my audience to be? I don't know if it's the same as who my audience is, but it's important to know both of those things. And you can figure out who your audience is. There's ways to get into this by following hashtags or by stalking, quote unquote, as they say on Instagram, stalking. Yeah, some of the followers that you have. I mean, people who actively engage in your posts see what other kind of stuff they like, what other kind of hashtags they use, who they follow. I mean, these are like tools to figure out who your audience is. Whether you want to do it or not is up to you. But you can do it, is what I'm saying.
Isn't that a tad invasive? Is that just me?
I think, sure, it can be invasive. You don't have privacy on the internet. And I think a lot of people have this misconception that they have privacy on the internet. And we never have. I mean, maybe that's just like a product of growing up in the 90s, where it's like everything you put on the internet, it's there forever. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
No, absolutely. It does make sense. I mean, I take that with me. Don't get me wrong. Like, I get questioned a lot. Like, are you sure you want to put... I've already accepted the fact that a lot of my life is no longer mine. A lot of my life is going to be given in service to my art. And, I'm okay with that. I accepted that. I like doing autobio. I like opening up to people. And I don't really want to keep anything secret. So I accept that reality. I accept that I have an online presence that I can't entirely get rid of. And like, if there are consequences that come of that someday, I have to accept them because those were my actions. But for the most part, it's like, trying to be genuine, like trying to earnestly embody the things that are important to you and the things that you want to bring into the world, and maintaining your online presence. Like, I don't think you have anything to hide. If you're just being a human being, I don't think you have anything to hide.
No, and in fact, being genuine, quote unquote, on social media, or rather appearing genuine, that's more important to distinguish. That actually is favorable in the algorithm, is appearing genuine. All right, so let me finish my W's before I lose track.
Please do.
I tell stories that I think are pretty brutally honest, and I want to encourage people to feel okay with hearing that honesty and being that honest. I honestly like honesty. Is that a really weird way to put my stories? Like, I just love brutal honesty.
I think that makes you a true artist.
Oh, thank you. But that is what I want to encourage in my art, so that's what I want to encourage my followers. Why should you follow me? I think is the answer being because I want you to feel vulnerable and I want you to be okay with honesty. And as I'm answering this, I think I'm realizing I don't make that obvious on my social media. I don't think I actually tell my audience that's what I want them to do. Again, you shouldn't tell your audience to do anything. You have to find a way to subtly encourage it through these interesting social media behaviors, which I will get back to. What do I do? So the next question is what? What do I do? I'm a cartoonist. I also sometimes play video games on Twitch or on YouTube, and I also use TikTok to track my fitness goals because I work out every day and I want to be a stronger and healthier yoga practitioner. Yogi? I don't want to say yogi because that implies some sort of like in tuneness with chakras or whatever. And that's not why I do yoga. I just like being flexible. I just like being able to do handstands.
It's good to have flexibility.
Yeah, I agree. Especially like as an artist, you need to take care of your body. And you know, my social media presence is currently all over the place, and I'm trying to find a way to consolidate all of it. And all of this takes time to figure out. I mean, this isn't intuitive. If you want to use social media correctly as a tool, like you have to make this plan that incorporates these 5 W's. All right, so the next question is where do you go? Where on my Instagram, on my Twitter, which I don't really use unless I'm promoting YouTube or Twitch. You can go buy my books online. You can go follow me on different social medias. All of that I try to link together. And this can bring up a point of not putting your eggs all in one basket, and we can come back to that in a bit. But lastly, when to act, and the when to act is whenever, because I think I want my work to be accessible by everyone all over the world, considering I do have friends all over the world. So I want you to be able to enjoy me at any time.
Was that your Pornhub tagline?
It's my OnlyFans.
Your OnlyFans, perfect.
Yeah, my OnlyFans is just me drawing.
That's an untapped reservoir of potential. OnlyFans for artists. I'm just saying. You know how many times I've been at a gig or working with another artist and they're like, Ash,
you should get an OnlyFans.
I hear that so often.
You know, it wasn't designed for porn, right?
That's just it. Sex sells. It doesn't matter what the platform is. You're going to find porn.
Sex sells. We haven't even brought that up this whole time. We haven't even mentioned the word sex. Ash.
I'm proud of us. I can't say I'm an active celibate, but I believe in celibacy. I believe in like the innocence of life and nature, and like I just want to protect like how wholesome my lifestyle is.
Oh, that's sweet. All right, so we talked about all of the 5 W's. Now the question is like, what do we do with it? And everyone listening, I encourage you to take the time. I mean, how long did it take me and Ash to answer these 5 simple questions? It takes a while because there's a lot more thought in it than we realize. Now, what to do with this information or these 5 W's, you know, is to create content. Once you answer those questions, now you can create content.
Excellent. Well, if it's okay with you, I would just like to really quick take a moment at the end of the podcast to suggest some ways that you can help if you're just as concerned as I am and as is about the war in Ukraine. You can donate to the Ukrainian Red Cross and International Rescue Committee to help with people that need emergency medical services. There's Voices of Children that helps provide emergency psychological assistance to the kids in Ukraine that are affected. And we encourage you to be engaged and open and honest when talking about the Ukrainian war, and understand that there are people out there that are really suffering right now, and it's a good time in our lives to examine our own humanitarianism. So please, if you have the means to do so and you're so inclined, please help them in any way you can.
Go check out those links that Ash mentioned. You know, this is a real thing that's happening right now. All right, thanks for listening. And again, music by Divorce Action John. Go check him out.
Thank you, Johnny.
I'll put his SoundCloud in the description. All right, Ash, it's been phenomenal. I'll see you next week.
It's a pleasure as always. See you next week.